Bro, you should not be taking this. Childhood obesity is a serious problem.
I didn't know it was such a big problem.
It is. In Maryland, 15% of children are classified as obese, but that number is more than 7% higher for kids in Baltimore City. Obesity is measured by body mass index, also referred to as BMI. BMI takes into account both the height and weight of a child and compares it to the 85th percentile and 95th percentile of children and teens of the same age and sex. In Baltimore, childhood obesity rates have tripled over the last 20 years, and the average child is 5 to 10 pounds heavier than today than it was during the last decade. Also, 60% of the lower income neighborhoods have limited access to healthy food, while just 5% of higher income neighborhoods have the same issue. Because of my concerns, we're meeting today with the mayor of Baltimore, trying to see which policies can reduce childhood obesity in Baltimore.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sinai.
Hello, Mr. Mayor.
What's your proposal?
My proposal to combat childhood obesity is to fight the issue of urban food deserts. In many areas known as food deserts, there are a lack of grocery stores and supermarkets where healthy food options are sold, such as fruits and vegetables. The only option for food in these areas are convenience stores, which offer mainly junk foods, which are unhealthy and primarily the cause of obesity. We need to give people more access to healthy food options. My policy proposal is to incentivize grocery stores to open up in identified food deserts by offering a tax break, perhaps a property tax break for the first few years of operation. Additionally, these tax breaks could be offered to existing convenience stores in these areas if they choose to stock locally sourced fresh produce and other healthy food options. While this policy reduces tax revenue, it would go a long way in increasing the availability of healthy food options in areas without them.
What would be the financial implications to doing this?
Well, in the short term, the city would have a decrease in revenue from property taxes, but in the long term, it will be beneficial to the city because by reducing childhood obesity, we also reduce the costs associated with obesity.
Good afternoon, Mr. Karp. What's your proposal?
My proposal is to increase the amount of nutritional education that we have in school. We can do this in two ways. One is by promoting after-school cooking and gardening classes, and the other is by increasing the amount of nutrition that we teach in our science curriculum from elementary all the way through high school. In after-school cooking and gardening classes, we can teach kids basic cooking skills such as knife work, baking, and cooking. So we can also teach kids where their food comes from by having them grow their own food or taking them to a public existing garden. We can also increase their learning about nutrition in their science classes. In elementary school, we teach kids about the food pyramid, but we don't really give them enough detail about which foods are healthy and why less processed foods can be more healthy than more processed foods. We should also give them more education about the benefits of fruits and vegetables and the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that they provide to a healthy diet.
I have two questions. My first one is, will new employees need to be hired for this to work?
Well, we can probably limit it to one new employee per school to specialize in either gardening or cooking, and then we can work with our existing employees, some of whom might have experience cooking or gardening. We can also ask the PTA at some of our schools to see if there are any parent volunteers that would like to help us out.
Okay. And second, would these classes be optional or would they be mandatory?
Well, the after-school program would be optional for all students that wanted to take it. Our goal would be to make it free, but if the money in the budget doesn't allow for that, we could have a small fee. And then the nutrition that we institute in teaching the science classes would be rolled in as part of our curriculum.
Good afternoon, Mr. Tao.
Mr. Mayor.
What's your proposal?
My policy solution to address the problem of childhood obesity is for schools to restructure their lunch programs and increase breakfast programs before school and take-home food programs after school to ensure kids are having healthier meals. Although Baltimore schools receive subsidies from the USDA for meeting broad federal food requirements, schools are still given a lot of leeway of what's on their menu. And schools need to be more proactive in investing their money into healthier food options. Schools should buy and feature locally produced farm-fresh food on their local menus and not purchase food they just need to heat and serve. Also, lunch programs should shift away from making it a lunch option to purchase unhealthy food and sugar-sweetened beverages from vending machines. Schools can either have vending machines with a timer that blocks access during certain times of the day, like in Montgomery County, or bring in fresh, healthy vending machines that only sell healthy snacks.
Thank you. It's a very interesting idea, but what do you think the estimated cost would be for doing this?
So a recent pilot program in Maryland to bring in fresh food for a school by purchasing healthier lunch options and having a before and after school snack program cost them $110,000. So extracting that out to all the Baltimore public schools, it could cost almost $15 to $20 million. However, a lot of that financing would already come from government assistance and just reinvesting it into healthier food options from poor food options. Also, financing for the before and after school food options could come from local businesses in Baltimore. In the long term, it's better for them because they will have a more productive workforce, and in the short term, it will give them a better positive image in the local community.
Are there any groups that you think would be opposed to this?
So some civil liberties groups may argue that restricting student access to vending machines is a violation of their freedom to choose what they want to eat. And also some Republicans believe that breakfast programs and after-school food programs create an incentive structure amongst individuals for constant government assistance. However, the lunch programs could be justified through their intervention by arguing that the policies drastically benefit the common good, and there are a lot more Democrats in Maryland.
And Mr. Silver,
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor.
what's your proposal?
So a key part of dealing with the issue of childhood obesity is nutrition and healthy eating. There's a lot of the past proposals you've heard have talked about, but I believe that an equally important and often overlooked factor is the lack of exercise. And so for this, I'm focusing on expanding parks and green space throughout Baltimore, which will allow for the creation of more greater after-school sports activities and things like that, as well as growing the overall health of the community, in addition to fighting childhood obesity. So this idea kind of first came up with thinking about after-school programs, as many schools don't have the facilities needed to have their own full-fledged sports programs, and so the creation of parks is really going to help with developing these sorts of programs. Additionally, Baltimore has about 15,000 vacant lots, so there's prime opportunity for the creation of a lot of new parks and green spaces. So a lot of these green spaces, community gardens, pocket parks, forest patches, are actually springing up as community-managed open spaces, so thus they must pay property taxes. And so I propose that we support not only childhood obesity, but our entire community by supporting a bill currently before the City Council that would provide us property tax exemption for these green spaces. And in fact, this would actually help taxes overall, because a lack of vacant lots and an increase in green space increases property values for homes in these areas, which will in fact lead to more tax revenues, as studies in New York and Philadelphia have shown.
Thank you. It's another great idea. One of the questions I have is, what would these green spaces be used for throughout the city?
So aside from just general health and recreation, kind of just general fitness throughout the community, one of the big things I'm looking for in expanding the green spaces is actually promoting physical fitness in schools. A lot of schools throughout Baltimore lack a proper physical education program due to both inability to hire a physical education teacher and pay them, and also just a lack of general facilities such as like a gymnasium or things like that. And so by expanding the green space, we're providing space for after-school activities, greater after-school sports, and kind of just in general, really helping the school system as well.
Well, guys, these are some great ideas. At this time, I think nutritional education in schools is the city's most practical and financially efficient idea.